Hi students, today we're going to work on some graphic design. So digital graphic design is the art of combining shapes, images, and text to create a finished product that can be viewed on a screen. And you can see an example of a cereal box here. It has a background pattern, it has fonts, your text, it has an edited photo, an illustration. So there's lots of parts that come together to make this design. A professional designer created this using a digital graphic design software. There are programs that are specifically for professional graphic designers. However, we're going to use Google Slides to make our design. When we're making a graphic design, we are combining skills of technology with skills that we've learned in art class. So if you look at the top design here, it's very poor, but the bottom one is a better design. When you are designing things, you have to think about color. If it includes text, you have to think about the different font styles that you choose and how you pair them together. Depth perception, if you want it to look 3D, symmetry, balance, and you have to layer the pieces in a way that looks realistic. So the poor design on top here just does not look realistic when we're looking at it. But if we adjust our layers and adjust our sizes, we can make a much better design that looks more real. When you're resizing images, you have to think about what your cursor is telling you. So if I have a single pointer, I'm not on anything. If I have four arrows, I'm trying to move. We know that four arrows is move. So if I click on it and drag it, I am moving my object. If I want to resize my object, I want to move it to a corner. And you can see that my pointer changes to two arrows. We always resize from a corner so that it keeps our image in ratio and doesn't distort the image. I'm going to Control Z to bring that back to normal. If I were to resize with a side, it's going to distort my image. Something else we need to consider is layering. So we can switch the order of things by sending pieces to the front or to the back. So if I click on an object and I go into my arrange and order it to go all the way to the back, so send to back, it's going to go all the way behind everything else. You can also move things back just one layer with the send backward and bring forward. So bring to front makes it the very top layer. Send to back makes it all the way back at the very back layer. But this just moves it one layer at a time. So you could do that multiple times if you needed to. We have learned how to copy paste images. So if I click on this, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, I can paste as many times as I want. But another cool trick is the Control D. Control D will duplicate pieces. So if I Control D this, I duplicate it without having to copy and paste it. It's just another shortcut you can use. So scene one is the easiest of the spring graphic design scenes. Two gets a little bit harder, three harder, four harder, and five is the most challenging. If you have some extra time, you will get to design your own scene on slide 6 and see if you can make it look realistic and natural by adjusting the layers and sizes and all those things that we learned about. I am going to demonstrate 5 for you since it's the hardest, and that will give you tips and tricks that you can use on all of the slides, but I would definitely recommend starting with the easiest one and working your way up to the most challenging. So I need to get my background and put it in the upper corner and stretch it out. And then I can start putting my pieces on. I personally struggle with the sizing, so I'm going to show you a hack that you can do with that. First, I'm going to send this to the back because when I moved my sun, I can't see it anymore. So I'm going to arrange, order, and send my background all the way to the back. Okay, so the sun is pretty much the same size it is here, but because this square is bigger, the sun should also be bigger. You can just kind of guesstimate, or if you're like me and struggle with that, I'm going to show you a hack. I'm going to duplicate this scene, so Control D, and pull it over and stretch it out. I am going to send it all the way to the back, so arrange, order, send to back. And then I'm going to bring it up one level. arrange, order, bring forward. Okay, so now I can see my pieces and I can see, oh, I didn't make that sun nearly big enough. So I can make it much bigger and line it up. And then I can bring my flowers on. So there was one of this flower. That one looks like it's the right size already. Looks like there's two of this flower, one behind the shape here. Control D to duplicate. One over here that needs to be bigger. All right, as I resized that one, I noticed something. I'm going to pull this up for a second. Do you notice how it has the two bottom leaves, but then a leaf on the left? But this one has the two bottom leaves and the leaf on the right. That's because this was a horizontal flip. So we want to show you how to do that on this hard one. I'm going to go into my arrange again, but this time instead of the order, I'm going to do rotate. And flip horizontally is using my symmetry. It's just going to flip it on the horizontal axis like that. Then I can rank it smaller again. Whoops, too small. And get it into the right spot. I'm going to bring over my yellow flowers. There's 3 of those. Okay, then I need my red flower. There's just one of those. And my pink flowers, this one over here is curving to the left. Control D to duplicate. This one over here needs to be flipped. So arrange, rotate, and flip horizontally. My worm needs to be a little smaller, so using a corner to change the size. If I'm moving things over a little bit, I often use the arrow keys. Okay, here's another trick I wanted to show you. The B in the drawing is turned slightly. So you want to use the rotate button. It's this little dot at the top. I'm going to click and drag it. And that should line it up better. Yep, that looks pretty good. Again, it's okay if they're not exact, but they should be fairly close. Okay, and I need my sheep much bigger. And my grass should be about that size. Okay, so now I'm going to get rid of the duplicated scene that I made by clicking on it and hitting either delete or backspace. And then I can compare my 2 drawings to see if there's anything I need to adjust. So one of the things I see I need to adjust is I didn't notice that there was grass in the background and I only have the grass here. So I'm going to Control D to duplicate it. And it looks like I'm going to have to make it big enough to fill the background. That's a little too big. Okay, then obviously I'm going to need to bring my sheet back to the front and this flower. So I'm going to click on the flower and change the order of it to bring it to the front. You can also use these shortcuts. So Control and the up arrow and Control and the down arrow will move it 1 layer at a time. Control Shift and up arrow brings it all the way to the front. Control Shift and down arrow brings it all the way to the back. I'm going to bring that flower all the way to the front. I'm having trouble seeing how many of the flowers are all the way to the front. Looks like all of the flowers actually come in front of the grass. So I'm going to Control Z to put that back. I'm going to take my grass and send it to the back. And then I'm going to bring it up a layer at a time. So I'm going to hit Control and my up arrow until it's where I want it. Actually, that worked perfect. All right, let's check if there's any other differences I need to adjust. I'm noticing 2 other things to fix. I'm noticing that this pink flower should be in front of the purple one. So I'm not clicked on the pink one. There we go. So I'm going to hold Control and press the up arrow until it's in front of the purple. There we go. And then this red one needs to be in front of that. So I'm holding Control and pressing the up arrow. And the worm should be in the very front. Let's see if I can get that worm. Okay, we'll move the grass out of the way for a second. Hold on. Okay, if you're having trouble getting something, you can draw a box around it. So I actually got several different things. Let me just draw a little box. And I'm going to hold Control to turn off the background and turn off that flower. There we go. And Control up to move it forward. Now I can bring this grass back where it goes. And I'm going to do a Control Shift up to bring the sheep to the very front. And then a Control Shift up to bring that grass to the very front. Okay, let's see if there's anything else I missed. I am not noticing any other things I'm missing. So I think that this is a good design. So now it is your turn. I'd love to see your recreations and what you can come up with on scene 6.